There lurks a dangerous figure in the shadows, stalking after enemy command mechs and field outposts. Its huge frame may be easy to see at times, but never easy to follow when in the hands of a skilled pilot. This specter haunted many enemies of the Star League, from the periphery to privateers and pirates, and to the quiet conflicts between the House Lords and the SLDF that cropped up in the dying days of the Star League, long before the Ameris Civil War. Today we are going to be talking about General Systems Command Hunter, the Exterminator. A heavy mech weighing in at 65 tons, the Exterminator is a strange design in many respects, first envisioned not as a frontline battle mech, or even as some type of advanced heavy support asset, and not even as a recon leader or recon unit, but instead it was conceptualized for the purpose of specifically hunting down and destroying enemy command and control. Hunting and destroying that command, I should add, whether it be a battle mech or a command post. Though it would be produced in small numbers prior, only after a series of successful tests was the mech put into full service in 2630 in its desired role. It would gain an excellent reputation among the mech warriors who piloted it due to its appearance and its onboard electronic systems. The unit as a whole represented a technological leap forward, still largely never replicated since, with an implementation of two very specific technologies, which were namely the chameleon polarized light shield and the null signature system, at least in one very specific variant of this battle mech. These two technologies made the Exterminator almost like a ghost on the field, but they, and the Exterminator itself, would not survive the First Succession War, at least not in its peak form. Still, a true terror to anyone trying to prevent it from laying its ambushes or raids, the Exterminator would be a true terror of the battlefield, and one to be extremely wary of, especially for any would-be upstart trying to halt the progress of the Star League. The primary model of the Exterminator during the Star League was not the variant that came with all of these features. So for this particular video, instead of covering the most frequently seen configuration of the Exterminator first, we are going to explore the true predator of the Star League era, the EXT-4C. With the bleeding edge of technology from the beginning of the 27th century, and with a very specific mission objective, the Exterminator would come with an incredible Magna 390XL engine. This 23-ton enormous engine gives the EXT-4C an immense top speed of 97 km per hour, or 9 movement points in the tabletop game, which is an incredible amount of speed for such a large mech to be moving at. In addition to this, the 4C would even have the ability to jump 180 meters, which again is a more than impressive distance for a mech of this size. The Exterminator is extremely fast and extraordinarily agile, which it needs to be to fulfill its objectives of bypassing enemy positions or difficult terrain in order to seek out its primary targets and neutralize them. It is extremely well suited to this, with such movement and maneuverability. For cooling, the Exterminator uses 10 doubled heat sinks, giving it a sinking capacity of 20, which is more than enough for this rapid movement machine given its limited, though functional, weapon systems, barring the most extreme combinations of its movements and weapon fire. Its additional onboard systems also generate a significant amount of heat, and provided it is not engaging in combat while using those systems, this total is mostly adequate as well. For armaments, the Exterminator isn't particularly well equipped for its weight, though it is smartly armed for its function. In each of its arms, it's equipped with twin Averall high-point medium lasers, giving it a decent punch in close, though sadly not any more than its 65 contemporary, the Catapult. To give itself some ability at range and to provide indirect support, the EXT-4C also comes with a Deadeye 10 LRM launcher in its center torso. Finally, in its head is the last piece of offensive weaponry, which is a Dynatech Mark III small laser. While the Exterminator may not seem exceptionally heavily armed, it's not taking into account its extreme speed and maneuverability, as well as its other onboard systems which most definitely help it acquire its adversaries and attack them at the most opportune time for it, rather than in the condition where the tables may be slightly slanted against it. Without these elements, the 4C would be poorly armed and vulnerable. Speaking of those attributes, there is a series of non-offensive systems on the 4C, starting with its anti-missile system, aiming to keep the unit safe from incoming missile fire. When one thinks of the Exterminator, they often think of the null signature system and the chameleon light polarized shield. When these two systems are combined, the Exterminator generates a great deal of heat, but it is incredibly difficult to track at range, for instance being far more difficult at long range in the game to hit, which is frankly shocking. These technologies in-universe obscure its heat signature, as well as making it extremely difficult to view with the naked eye. This means that the Exterminator is a true hunter of targets, and when used smartly, can get the drop on almost any foe, catching them by surprise, destroying or maiming its target, before rushing back to a distance and simply vanishing. Blending into its surrounding and just disappearing as if it were never there. As if it were a ghost. The last element to talk about regarding the 4C is its protection, which amounts to, beyond its advanced stealth technologies, 10.5 tons of standard armor, which is more than acceptable for a mech of this size and speed. The Exterminator 4C is, in essence, an upgrade to the Exterminator 4D, the standard model, which lacks its advanced onboard stealth technologies. What these give the 4C is immeasurable in helping it prepare for the ultimate time to perform its tasks, and striking hard and fast against its sole target. For any periphery commander seeking to rebel, or a brigand in an extended campaign, this must have been a very terrifying specter to be haunted by, especially once its presence was too obvious to not be noticed. Logistics trains being hit, or command bunkers and mobile HQs being destroyed as it stalked its way up the food chain, bypassing every other defender with its advanced technologies before looming like a cougar, waiting for the moment to strike. The 4C is the assassin which the SLDF needed, and its popularity among its pilots, and even that of the 4Ds, shows it. There are really very few Exterminator designs as a whole, and understandably so given the main role and its advanced technology within. All the same, let's cover several of what is available here. The EXT-4A is a downgrade model produced in the 31st century by Callian Industries, using the technology on hand during the Third Succession War. First, it is based on the 4D, and lacks the advanced systems on board from that, but it also doesn't utilize XL technology or double heatsinks. As a result, it has a smaller engine, reducing its speed to 86 km per hour. It installs one standard heatsink to help it with its heat load, which is inadequate for its weapons overall. Its anti-missile system is replaced with a single machine gun, and beyond that, uses the approximate same weapons. While this isn't a terrible design, it's an underpowered one that runs too hot at close ranges, while not being substantially faster or stealthier than most of its peers. Still, it was effective enough to see some construction and deployment, but it was a rare mech to find in its day. The EXT-4DB is the Royal variant for elite divisions of the SLDF. It's not particularly exciting, as it mostly replaces out its LRM-10 and AMS for a large laser. It doesn't have the null or chameleon systems either, and takes on endosteel to provide it with more armor. While it's certainly not bad, it's designed more as a heavy brawler rather than a silent assassin. There is a single Dark Age variant of the EXT series, namely the 7X. It uses an XXL engine and composite internal structure, and the engine is in fact the lower 325 series rather than the 390 series engine, in order to save more weight. To try to offset its slower speed, a supercharger is installed. Stealth armor and an ECM are installed instead of its previous assembly of advanced SLDF technologies. For weapons, it uses twin medium variable speed pulse lasers in each arm, and uses an MRM-10 instead of an LRM-10. In total, it has 13 double heatsinks with a coolant pod to keep it cool. While this is in some ways an upgrade, and it is certainly more accurate, it's not without its vulnerabilities, such as its XXL engine and slower speed on average, at least slower without risk. It's not impossible to imagine this performing the original role of the EXT-4D and EXT-4C. Though against the more advanced opposition it will find in the Dark Age, perhaps this one will struggle in some ways to find the same success. The Exterminator's name really says it all. Perhaps if the term assassin hadn't been taken by the ASN series prior, that might have been a more fitting name for the core of this mech's original concept. It is a design for a style of warfare that perhaps departs from the higher age of the Inner Sphere's combat, and certainly is foreign to what the clans understand and wish to see implemented for warfare. All in all, the Exterminator, regardless of its incredible expense and shortcomings in some areas, is a tough, fast, capable mech that can run down mechs that are lighter than it, and can outflank and strike mechs which are stronger than it. And if one finds themselves faced with a 4C, it can be as terrifying as being stalked by a predator in the jungle for an enemy commander. It is the unironic headhunter of the SLDF. Thank you for joining me here today. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. There's new content on this channel very frequently, and I appreciate your support. Also, a huge thank you to all the YouTube members who support this channel, as these videos are possible because of viewers like you. With that, I will catch everyone in the comments section below.